Welcome to EVO vlog number 7. In this episode, we're going to talk about finding a transfer case, our front mount intercooler, our oil cooler, and our rear bumper. So it is indeed lucky episode number 7 because I did finally find myself a non-ACD transfer case in good condition. And basically, the same day I got it, I pretty much installed it in the car. I was super excited to get it. So I did kind of run through, check everything over on it, and then get it installed by myself with the car on the floor with some limited tools. It was a real pain, not gonna lie. I've installed a transfer case before in my old 05 EVO 8 that had the ACD case, but for that install, I was actually at my dad's house using a hoist, and that made things a whole heck of a lot easier. So it's a real pain. Changing the transfer case is a really tough job, especially by yourself. I honestly wouldn't recommend it. You really want someone else with you if you can get an extra helping hand to do it. And right now this car was at the stage where a lot of the stuff that I would have to take off was out of the way, obviously, but I still had to actually remove the basically rearmost motor mount here so I could swing the engine forward and back. I basically had to swing the engine forward while lifting up the transfer case to get it in place. So as you can imagine, you're trying to lift this heavy transfer case while you're trying to push this engine forward. It was tough. I used a floor jack to try and lift the transfer case while I was kind of rocking the engine forward. I don't recommend doing it by yourself, but it can be done. So I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it's in there. This car also didn't have a rear bumper, and what I mean by that is it didn't have the actual metal bumper in the back. It had the bumper cover, but it didn't have the actual bumper support, and I wanted that since I still plan on driving this car on the street. So luckily I found an awesome EVO member that was basically willing to give it to me for pretty cheap, considering that they're expensive to ship because it's a heavy item. So thank you for sending me that. And I did have time to install that, but it was kind of dark in here when I did it. It's a pretty simple job. There's not much to cover, but I did get that rear bumper installed and then the rear bumper cover put back in place as well. I also got the Spearco front mount intercooler back from a local shop because I had them weld a new bracket on. For whatever reason, this intercooler had the EVO mounting bracket cut off of it, so I had to take it to a shop that could weld aluminum and put a new bracket on there for me. So I got that intercooler kind of just mocked up in place. I'll have to figure out more about how I'm going to actually fully hold it in place once I get the intercooler piping and figure out that whole situation as well. So that's a project yet to come, but it's getting started. And I also have the oil cooler kind of mocked up and in place. I found a stock oil cooler quite a while back. I've had it sitting here, but it's finally to the point where I thought I could put it in place. I'm waiting for a couple more OEM parts to come to actually run all the lines to it. But what I'm really hoping to find soon, and maybe you guys can help me out with, is I'm trying to find the bracket that holds it in place. There are 2 separate brackets that hold that oil cooler on. I'm kind of looking for the larger of the 2 brackets, the one that bolts closest to the lines and has 2 bolt holes going into it. So if any of you have a spare one of those, hit me up, let me know. And I guess really that's about it for this episode. Question of the episode. I keep thinking about all the things I'm putting in this car that are really untested. So my question for you is, where do you think I'm gonna have the most trouble? Do you think the engine, being a little bit unknown, is gonna give me some trouble? Do you think the transmission, being a little bit unknown? Transfer case? What do you guys think? Any of that kind of stuff? Rear end? I don't know. Like, where do you think I'm gonna run into most trouble when I try to get this car moving? Make your guess in the comment below. We'll just have some fun with it, right? So again, that's about it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in episode 8. It was a real pain in the, I don't know what to say, if I should swear or not. Should I swear? Ass. Still rolling? We're still rolling. Pink. If you've owned an EVO, chances are you've had pink Brembos before.